Does the thought of asking your boss for a 30% salary hike make you physically uncomfortable? Does it feel greedy? Does it feel like you're being selfish? Does it feel like you are bragging or demanding a favor you haven't earned? Today, I'm going to show you how to make it about the business. I'm going to give you the exact framework to negotiate a 30% jump without the anxiety. Stick around till the end, and I'll give you 3 strategies that will get you what you really want. I'm Rakesh Ravindran, your leadership career strategist. If you find this video helpful in any way, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll go a long way in being able to reach more people and encourage me to make more such content to help people grow in their career. Also, please let me know in the comments if you'd like me to cover any topic related to leadership skills or career strategy, and I'll make sure I create content specific to that. Now, if you are a quiet professional, if you're a introvert, high performing professional, maybe you're an introvert or maybe you're an ambivert, I know exactly why you feel guilty and uncomfortable asking for the hikes or promotions. You believe that doing excellent work should naturally result in a fair compensation. And when it doesn't, having to explicitly ask for money feels deeply unnatural. But I need you to completely destroy your emotional attachment to the word greedy or selfishness. You are not asking for a favor. You are not taking the money from charity. You are repricing a business asset, and that asset is your labor. Companies do not pay you based on how hard you work, how many weekends you sacrifice, or how much you need the money because of inflation or because you spent many years in the organization or in your current role. They pay you a percentage of the business value you generate. If you feel greedy during a salary negotiation, it is because you're making the conversation about you. Today, I'm going to show you how to make it about the business. I'm going to give you the exact framework to negotiate a 30% jump without the anxiety. And I'll tell you my own story first. Let's start with that, right? When I was a director for a large company, I was managing the operations for that firm. I made some executive decisions and changed some organizational structure that directly led to a saving of about 2.2 million pounds every year on a yearly basis. You know what happened a year later? I was laid off. I felt bad about it initially, but then it was also the time when I learned a valuable lesson. Businesses will run as businesses. They will worry about the bottom line, top line, and as employees, whether you are a senior manager, mid level manager, or a senior executive, you're just a means to an end. With that, let's start with the first strategy. So, step number one is data over drama. Quite professional hate boasting about themselves. But you know what they love? Facts. The key to negotiating without anxiety is to completely remove your emotions and lean entirely on the data. Most mid-level managers walk into a performance review and use emotional argument. They say things like I've been here for 3 years, or I've done this so many for so many years, or I'm doing work of 2 people, or I work on a weekend and I sacrifice so much of my family time. Your manager may empathize with it, or maybe they just don't care at all. In most cases, this sounds to them like a rant. They see it like a drama. You ask why? Because that is what everyone is doing. What you need is a business. I recently worked with a mid level manager who stopped asking for a raise based on loyalty. Instead, he walked into his review with a one pager. It showed exactly how he optimized a supply chain process that saved the company $150,000 in Q2. He didn't say, "Oh, I deserve more. I have spent so many years in this organization." Instead, he said something like, "My optimization returned $150,000 to the bottom line this quarter. Based on that ROI, my current compensation is below market value for the impact I'm delivering." You notice what happened? He didn't ask for a favor. He presented an ROI, return on investment report. Facts do not feel greedy, and that's where your strengths are. So stick to the facts and don't try and see how emotions work with your manager, because more likely than not, your manager is seasoned with it. Everybody's been using it, and it is not going to do much for you. So let's move to step number two. This is the most critical shift you must make if you want a massive jump. Listen closely. A standard 3 to 5% raise is a reward for your performance. A 30% hike is an investment in your future scope. You cannot get to 30% raise for doing the current job well. To get a 30%, you must pitch the expanded role you are about to take on. So remember this, you want to be underpaid in your current role. But if you're just simply asking for an increase in your role, you will end up, and if you get it, you will end up being on the higher end of that bracket. What you should ask for is an expanded role, which comes with a promotion. Look at how you go about that is start with looking at your department's goals for the next 2 quarters, or maybe the yearly goal. Check, see where the massive gap is, where you stand now and what the goal is. There must be a gap, right? And try and assess where the friction point your executive leaders are stressed about. Find it and pitch yourself as the solution, right? Your script sounds something like this. I have mastered the current scope of my role, but looking at the Q3, the department has a massive gap in our data integration strategy. I'm prepared to take full ownership of that gap, which will require operating at a director level. Here is the compensation adjustment I'm looking for to take that role on in the expanded scope. Notice what you just did? You aren't asking for more money for the same work, you are selling them a solution to their problem. That leads me to step number three. I call it master the flinch, right? Introverts or ambiverts, whichever spectrum you are in, often ruin negotiation because you hate the awkward silence. When you finally state your number, you go into that room, you state your number. When you ask your manager, for example, for a 30% jump, your manager or HR representative is likely to pause, right? They might sigh, they might flinch. In that moment of silence, when they are contemplating that, most of you will panic. You try to fill the void. You immediately start negotiating against yourself. I know that most of you will say, "Oh, but I'm flexible. Whatever you think is right, or whatever you think is the market's value, or I'm open to discussing it." Stop. When you state your business case and state your number, you must close your mouth. Just shut up. Let the silence sit in that room. Silence is a quiet leader's greatest superpower. Let them process the data. Let them be the one to break that silence. If you speak first, you relieve your own anxiety for sure. You will leave money on the table, on the other hand, by just speaking against yourself. So just shut up. Now, walking into a salary negotiation without a clinical script or a strategic business case is exactly how you end up accepting that 4% raise or a pat in the back if you're lucky, right? You're doing a director level work on a manager's salary because you are waiting for someone to hand you what you are worth. It is time to stop waiting and start negotiating like an executive. If you are ready to build the executive presence required to command the room and secure your next major promotion, I built the 60-day leadership challenge. I call it the Leadathon, specifically for you. We strip away the generic corporate advice and install the exact step-by-step framework you need to build a business case, master high-stakes communication, and finally, get paid like a leader. Click the link in the description below to secure your spot. Stop leaving money on the table. I'll see you inside. Before you leave though, if you have stuck around until this point, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It'll cost you nothing and I'll feel encouraged to create more powerful content and I can keep improving on it. Please leave your feedback as well on anything you would like to see change. Thank you and I'll see you in the next one.